selectmen's announcements. Sorry, suddenly losing my voice.
What's the school deliberative session on February 5th, 2025. The senior dinner was put on by the rec department, the Chamber of Commerce, and all the volunteers. It's fantastic, and I would like to thank everybody who came out and served us. We did a great job.
And the volunteers who.
Yeah, I said it,
Yep.
in volunteers. They were great. The Reach Across America event was great. Exactly. They remembered all of our deceased veterans individually. Thank you to Larry Cleveland, Jason Polino, Jeff Roy, all the volunteers, Range Veterans Association. So thank you to all of you, and I'd like to also thank all of the donors that helped out and donated money for the wreaths, and the participants who were also volunteers, whether they knew it or not. They had to put the wreaths out. So they did a great job. It was about 240 wreaths or so.
360.
360 wreaths.
Wow.
Thank you all.
Okay, Tom? Okay, thank you. Let's see, consent agenda. We have the payroll accounts payable for 12/19/2024, and the minutes for 12/4 and 12/11. Did everyone get a chance to review them?
I read them all.
Yep.
There was a lot of we agreed on in there, but I just let it go.
Okay, all right.
I haven't seen the accounts payable.
Oh,
What's
yeah.
on here?
There was also the
They're
minutes,
big.
there was also the minutes from 12/9 and 12.
Yeah, thank you. I thought we
That should be included.
12/9. Oh, yes,
Monday.
right.
You know,
Did
9,
we,
4th, 9th, and 11th, it should have been.
I hope to do a copy.
yeah, I know, I did see that. I'm assuming it was, I hadn't thought it was the 9th, so that should be on there, 12/9. So I'm going to amend the consent agenda to include 12/9/2024. Do I have a motion?
Just one more comment.
Yep,
We're
okay.
still lacking a copy of minutes for the meeting that we had with Chaffee Ridge ambulatory service.
I
Okay,
believe
from
you
that,
sent those, but I can send them again.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Okay.
Thank
I'll
you.
make
okay.
them.
All right, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Citizens forum, it's a little bit early. And anyone else? Okay, Mr. Clinton?
Larry Cleveland, 26 Southwood Bound. So as Bob mentioned, we did our Reach Across America. We do not just Hillside Cemetery, but we also do the Meeting House Cemetery here. And we also go down to Rand Road and do the Rand grave down off of Rand Road. We did down the Hillside and we walked into this cemetery. As you can imagine, my dismay and my anger, and that's putting it lightly. This is what we found in the cemetery. This is a cemetery, let me remind you, where our town settlers are buried and where our Revolutionary War veterans are buried.
What it is.
Yep. Okay. You know, Bob's probably seen these already.
For heaven's sake.
This is all debris from fireworks. And when I first saw it, I said, kids have no respect nowadays. This is a cemetery. Then somebody told me it's not from the kids. It was from the tree lighting and the recreation department. And I would like to know whose bright idea it was to allow them to shoot fireworks off from a cemetery. It's despicable, it's disgusting, and every other adjective you could possibly think of. I was pissed then, I'm pissed now. It's since been cleaned up, thank you to Bob. He went down and asked the DPW guys to clean it up, and they did. It's not even their job, it's not their mess. How can you, first of all, shoot fireworks off of a cemetery? That's the number one situation. But then leave it like this. I mean, this, I don't know if you guys saw this or not. This was in the cemetery. It's a debris field of crap. It's unbelievable. It's been picked up, so what's done is done, and from what I understand, the fire marshal's changing the rules this year, or for this coming year, where you're not gonna be able to shoot off any commercial fireworks within 100 yards of a building. They weren't 100 yards from them, they were 75 yards from the church when they shot that off. So basically, that shuts down the fireworks for next year, because there's no place in the center of town they're gonna be able to shoot off fireworks unless they do it up on Fracture Hill, being 100 yards from any buildings. But I would like something done, maybe talk to the recreation director and go, how could you possibly like leave a mess like this in a cemetery? But really shoot from a cemetery. It's amazing to me.
Was it the ground still covered that night?
I have no idea. I wasn't there.
Did it snow on the ground that night?
No.
Yeah, no. Well, there was.
Yeah, it was 3 or 4 inches, it was about 3 inches of snow,
Okay.
so they might not have been able to see it later. I agree with you.
You'd see it even more on snow.
Well, you would think so, but this white stuff might blend in, but I agree with you 100%.
Okay, so, I know Atlas shot the fireworks off, is that correct?
It is correct.
So maybe next time Atlas is contracted, that's part of their contract, is they clean up their mess.
It is a contract.
Well, then they blew that contract right off.
Absolutely.
Okay, because not just, this wasn't just one area, these cardboard tubes and these little cardboard circles, they're part of like the wadding and the projectiles that go up into the sky. Those were not just in this debris field that you see here, they were scattered
Oh,
all over. And to me, it's just horrendous that this could happen. So, again, I know that they get permission to do their show, but did they have to receive permission to shoot, whose idea it was to shoot from a cemetery?
I did talk, addressing your point, they're well taken. I agree with you 100% on all of it. When I went there that night, I usually don't go on there. And, when I saw it going on the cemetery, I was sort of taken aback. And I am responsible, and I did not follow up right away. It was, I realized it was going up, and I knew what the consequences would be. And I did not follow up in terms of making sure it was cleaned up or asking why it's in the cemetery. I was told, I went and talked to the rec director. He basically said it was moved. Last year it was in the cemetery. The year before it was not. It was behind the tree. And, he implied it was a decision made by Atlas, but they shouldn't be making that decision. And certainly not in the cemetery. I agree with you 100%. It's disrespectful. And, your point is well taken.
Okay,
Thank you
so-
for bringing it up.
So there are other towns, I looked it up today, because I wanted to see if there was actually a law against this. Apparently not. Every town sets basically their own rules pertaining to fireworks. There are other towns that have ordinances put out, they cannot be shot from cemetery.
really? You can't, there's no state law that permits that.
There's no state law that I could find. And I looked for a few hours today, and I could not find anything that said, they basically leave fireworks up to, since they're legal in the state, they allow each town to kind of come up with their own general rules.
No, there's one more thing. Professional fireworks displays have to be approved by the fire marshal's office, the state fire marshal.
Right, and what I was told, they got to be within 100, no closer than 100 yards of any building.
So approximately.
So I would just like some sort of assurance that this isn't gonna happen.
You've got it from me. I will never approve anything like that happens again.
I did pull out the, special events permit again and took a look at it.
Mhm.
Special events permit that we have showed fireworks, vaguely showed it beside the church. Didn't point out that it was a cemetery.
And I have no problem with fireworks, right? Fireworks, great. It shouldn't be done in a cemetery, especially in a lot like this.
Absolutely.
Yep. So, and I'm glad he got cleaned up quickly, because I was getting ready to organize a few guys, and we were gonna get out and clean it up. And I was gonna stay on when he get cleaned up, almost not.
And I know what fireworks are because we have neighbors shooting them up all the time. And I'm always a little angry when things aren't cleaned up afterwards. I'm trying to end up cleaning up the beach or whatever. It's just, it's a mess. So,
Okay.
yeah.
This is not the first time that the fireworks have not been cleaned up after a display.
Yep.
It happened once before, if you remember.
Yeah.
Town people had to go out and pick up all the debris that was left behind, so they used the lawnmower to suck it up. There was still an unfired shell, which blew up underneath the lawnmower.
Yep.
Yeah, so that wasn't a pretty picture for the driver of the lawnmower.
Okay, well,
Thank you very much.
thank you for hearing me out.
Yes,
First part, pursuant to what Larry's saying, what I find unconscionable is shooting fireworks with a potential fire danger to classic buildings. It's not the church, it's the meeting house, so regardless. You've got the horse sheds, you've got the meeting house, and fireworks could start a fire in these buildings, and I find that reprehensible too. Now, in the past, they had shot from Thrasher Hill. There was complaints from certain people, which is why they moved to Melville. But that was a number of years ago. I don't think Dan was working as a rec director at that point. But they were shot from Thrasher Hill one year, at least 1 or 2 years.
this last month, there have been, mutual aid, about a couple dozen mutual aid fires around. It's, very hazardous right now to shoot fireworks. I've been up on Thrasher Hill with a swatter trying to, all the little debris, flaming coming down and fairly tall grass. It's not a safe place to do that.
I had mowed that field. Larry Harris did it, then I did it, and I've offered to do it several times, but they used the town and the mower that Rob's using, which is not as efficient as what I can do. But regardless, I did a volunteer basis, mow those fields.
Mhm.
And I mowed the whole field. But unfortunately, because it hasn't been mowed in years, there's a lot of Russian olives, buckthorn, as well as other things up there, and it's made it difficult to clear that field.
Yeah.
But I do think it's unconscionable to shoot near historic buildings.
Absolutely.
So there, I did some measurements. There's one place that comes really close to, if that 100-yard thing is gonna be the criteria moving forward with the fire marshal. The very back corner of the new parking lot at the school, believe it or not, you can get more than 100 yards from the school. The only building that falls within maybe 14 yards of that 100-yard zone is a historic society. I think Carl would want to hear that. There's one building that stops it from being legal. That is like
I knew
closest
those.
someone to get from 100 yards to further from.
Yep. Thank you for that.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it. Anything else on citizens forum? Okay, we'll move on, and, we have the public hearing for the unanticipated revenue, in the amount of $21,646 associated with the Land and Community Heritage Investment Program, LCHIP, for the purpose of the 2024 Meeting House project. And we want to, address that because, or have any details, during the Meeting House Committee. The, revenues that, this would be used for, further on there. I think they, windows need to be done.
Actually, the second came in for the grant that we received last.
Okay, so this is just a payment we're getting, not for future projects, but for the past one. Excellent, okay.
We'll be getting the next one shortly because we'll be submitting for the final.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. All right, and
I think we need to open the public hearing.
we do. Any comments or concerns? Okay.
Project's coming out great.
Okay, it looks good.
We just need shutters finished.
Windows, right? But the windows weren't part of the outfit.
That's true. That's why I was asking if it's.
Well, it's doing the windows and pieces, aren't they? Aren't they, Bob? They're taking a couple out at a
Taking a few
time.
out at a time. The windows are going fine.
Yeah,
Out of the L-shaped ramp, the shutters, take the shutters down, repair them, paint them. We're still missing some shutters, but we haven't received a bill.
Okay.
They haven't been paid for.
Okay. Okay, well, I'll close the public hearing, 6:16. Okay, thank you. Old business,
Wait.
oh, sorry.
To accept.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
I'll make a motion pursuant to RSA 3195B, anticipated revenue in the amount of $21,646.
I'll second that. All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Good. And thank you for keeping me on track. Yes. ARPA updates. So, there seems to be some confusion about how much is left. And, you want to address that? Excuse me, I want to get some water. Yes, I am, sorry.
I don't think there's any confusion, the balance is roughly about $1,900. We have the $3,000, kind of set aside since September, and that was for, the proposal that we have in front of you now, which was for the design of the ventilation system for the town office building. And she did have a chance to re-quote it. We got the preliminary results for the, air quality test, which is why the board pushed this off. And, we have the preliminary results. We're supposed to be getting the real results next week, but we're getting close to the deadline for ARPA. But the preliminary results did show high levels of radon throughout the building. So it would be my recommendation to move forward with the thing that the price didn't increase at all. It's $3,000. And again, this is just for the design of the ventilation.
And it showed all the downstairs.
Yeah, I don't have the full report. It was just basically an email from her saying these are the preliminary results. The radon showed extremely high downstairs and then even up here in the.
Your office. Okay. Okay.
I had only one question on this, Lori. You talked on item D, on the schematic design, I didn't understand item D, biddable base of design. Are they gonna give us something that we can put out the bid? It may not be working drawings, but is it gonna be ability to put it out for bid?
Exactly,
Is that the intent here?
Yep, it's designed so that we can put out an RFP for a ventilation system.
Yeah, just.
And unless we have a design, we can't really figure out what it's going to cost to make a warrant article.
But I just wanted to make sure that was my understanding. Just what it looked like. They're gonna have, she spoke like.
It kind of does go with, as you know, we've been talking about which is on the warrant, we'll talk about that later, but the intent was to use the leftover bond money to pay for the ventilation system. Not sure how much it costs, but the auditors want us to move that money, and you can only use it on certain projects for infrastructure. And we can't just move it into a reserve account. We have to utilize it. And they've been trying to get us to get rid of it for 2 years now. So.
And how much is that?
Well, there's 60,000, 2,325, I think, left in unused bond proceeds. Yeah, 60,275. So we could use that money towards that project.
And you can't put it into a reserve account, like another one that's already existing or something for town, so.
Try that.
Okay.
You look up the RSA for unused bond proceeds, there's like 3 things that you need for infrastructure is one of them.
My question is, I just got a report yesterday from Lori about the revenues expended so far. At the end of November, the ARPA funds showed 100% expended already.
So there's 2 ARPA funds. You still have the county that you have.
But the last meeting that we had, we spent $1,400 more for the server upgrade, and that was what supposedly brought it down to $0 left.
Right, and that was my recollection, other than, and when I was looking at where's the 0, I was also looking at the list, but 3,000 was already in the suggested already. I was looking at the balance that wasn't.
If you look at the spreadsheet, that the 87,229 down at the bottom on the right, that's the county money. So I don't know if that's included in your balance line, but there was 3 deposits totaling 774, 788. And 87, 229 of that was county money. So that may be why her expenditure. This sheet, everything in purple at the bottom. You'll see that that was all this year's and will be added to, this we got directly from the auditors. We matched up all the numbers and basically tallied it down from there. So even with the 3,000, if we take the 3,000 for this, there'd still be, I think this bottom number, we just changed that, right? There was the, about $400 that before,
Yeah.
back in 22, there was like a little discrepancy there. There was like $500 difference in something.
I think the outdoor, canopy tent for the fire department, that came under bid. So that really is one.
As well as the, fire pump replacement,
Right,
you approved 33,000. That came in at 32,134.56. And there was another one that came in different too.
okay. Well, it's a moving target in our favor.
Yeah.
And we haven't in any case paid more than we have set aside for anything. It's only where it can come in less that we have any changes.
Right.
Okay,
And Carl?
yeah, sorry.
Look at the expenditures, there is no budget for ARPA. So what I do down the bottom, here's the expenditures, but down the bottom I put the offsetting revenues from ARPA. So the total ARPA money that we have left was 235,000. And, at this point in time, there was 210,000 that was expended. So there still is a difference there, there's still money left.
Okay, so why 100% showed up on the sheets is,
That's the system.
okay.
There is no budget, so I guess it's 100% spent.
Okay. All right. But you're confident,
Yeah, Lori and I just went through our numbers.
yeah,
We had the numbers last week too.
Yeah.
I'm not confident at all. So. We knew that some of these things were coming in on the budget. We did not put them as expended. We only put the expended amount as to what was spent and not what was approved.
but we approved these lists. And then when they came, the expenditures came in, they got modified, such as the fire department. Casey, do you have something on that?
Oh.
Oh,
Relating to this, yes.
Yeah.
Not to.
oh, no, okay. I'll keep that.
Yeah, we left the full amount in there so we wouldn't overexpend. And the 3,000 has been in there the whole time.
So if I ask the question, so say we put this money in an account for this application, and it comes in at 50,000, what do we do with the balance? We can't put it in another account.
This is the 60,000 left over consolidated.
Yeah, if we put that
Can't do anything until the voters approve it to go elsewhere.
to go elsewhere, so kind of it's part, just a different account, basically.
Do the voters have to have the final say on what we decide to do with it now? Or is it for the discretion of the board? In terms of a project?
Yes, that's why, that's the only way to put it on a warrant article for.
So in any case, it has to be on the warrant article. Okay, so we couldn't do it this year anyway,
If the warrant article passes, it's
but we don't have a price for it. We don't know what the cost of the ventilation
This
system
year,
is.
the warrant articles.
That's what I'm saying.
Until next year.
Exactly. We're making that decision tonight. we can't put it on a warrant article this year because we're making that decision tonight. We have no idea what the ventilation system would cost. We could do a warrant article for, I mean, we could make a motion on the ventilation system, get it designed, get it paid for, but that would sit there until we could get a warrant article, unless it's a petition warrant article. If we get something that quick, I would see how that would happen. So this year it's apparently out.
Well, it won't move this year until it's voted.
We don't know if it will pass or not, yeah, so
Yeah.
it may just, if it doesn't get passed, it'll just sit in the account.
You're just sitting in the bond account right now.
Right.
So it's either sitting there or it's sitting here.
So does that mean, Laura, we gotta create like a capital reserve account for this, for
Um,
the 60,000?
Well, no,
It
wouldn't be a
just says to
capital, no.
use it for that design.
it would stay, it would be directed to be used for that specific project. So that's the same way the consolidated bond was done.
Okay,
And this is the leftovers from it. The town, when we use it for something and it has to, for 3 certain things, and it has to be approved by the voters.
So what are you recommending? Because I think I know where you're going, but I'm not sure.
So
If we, are you?
the 3,000 is the first step in getting to put this out for request for proposal. People
I get it.
bid on installing the.
Correct. But where does it go from there in terms of this year?
If the voters approve it, you could use that money to pay for the ventilation system in the building.
So-
If they don't approve it, the board still thought that the air quality was poor and they really want to do this, they could take it out of some other, I guess, the building maintenance.
And getting back to my original point is, do we have to pass that tonight for it to be a warrant article to say we're going to direct?
Not tonight, nothing has to be done tonight, I mean, it's all gotta go, you guys gotta decide what's going on, the warrant and.
Thought that was part of the agenda tonight. Okay, so, but we don't have a warrant article tonight for
It's on
the,
there.
oh, it is on there. Let me
it
see.
requires a free-kiss vote,
Correct.
so
All right,
that, you might not get free-kiss, it just sits there.
It
All
may
people
not.
get mad at us. It's like a-
The auditor, it's not at us until like they need to move it.
So we're discussing this design, $3,000 first, is that my understanding, Carl?
yes. I'm inclined to want to make a motion on that, and because we can't go anywhere unless that first step is taken. And we are having ARPA pay for it, so. But the ventilation system in the building allows us to insulate it, which we hadn't done 12 years ago, properly. And so we've been wasting money for 12 years. So I will make a motion to put the ventilation system design on ARPA and authorize and what's the name of the company again?
EMI Design Day.
Yep, here it is. Okay.
You got it.
EDMI Design Day Mechanicals for $3,000
Wow.
schematic design. And, okay. And do I need to authorize someone to sign for this?
Yeah, it's authorized me.
I will authorize Lori Radiola to sign for it. Do I have a second?
You gotta spend the money, I'll second it.
Okay,
It's just a step,
okay.
build side of the whole, so what you.
We still don't have a report on the air quality.
I I've been asking for that too. She's got some preliminary stuff, but that's it. So
I still don't have.
we know radon's, carcinogenic, so I think we know that part for the fact, so.
There is no air
Right.
in this world that doesn't have some radon in it.
Agreed. I have personal, interest in it. I used to work in a nuclear power plant. I wore a badge testing radiation. We had procedures in case, anyone inhaled it. Radon is inhaled and deposits in the lung. And it sits there and it's decays, sending out radiation. And, this is one cause of lung cancer. We can get it anyway out in the air. It is in the ground. There's uranium all around us. One of the decay products is radon, which is a noble gas, and just floats and is breathed in. So I find that probably the most serious, certainly more than carbon dioxide, which makes you sleepy. And, so radon is an issue with me, and I air out my basement every year in winter just for that purpose.
So I seconded it, so let's move on.
I'm just passing it along. Anyway, it's personal with me. Anyway,
Okay.
So we still have no final report.
we don't have a final report. Supposedly it's due next week. Next week is Christmas, so I don't expect anything that week. So, anyway, but yes, we have preliminary reports, and we know we have a ventilation problem anyway, and maybe this will cure the radon. So, I will, I had a second, all in favor? Aye.
Nay,
Okay.
without a final report.
Yep, thank you. Great.
Carl, I just want to mention too, I did speak with Casey this morning, and he had asked how much money was left in the ARPA fund. And so I told him there was roughly 1,800. Renee and I had to work out that.
I'm sorry, who asked you? Casey,
Yeah.
yeah.
How much funds were left. And I told him 1,800. And he had suggested he talked to her about to see, so I would like to see if you.
You have an exact number.
I do.
Excellent.
Or it can be pretty close.
Sure.
So I was asking the question, is there ARPA funds left that would otherwise be returned? And I think it's pointless to return those funds. So I was kind of hoping that there might be just a couple $100 left.
And this is something that we would have to buy anyway, on the budget.
It is more want than need. Going back to the air packs, the masks that we had purchased before are $385 a piece. If there was $400 left, I would ask you for a mask. If there was 800, I'd ask you for two.
You assign the mask to individuals, don't you?
Yep.
Casey?
We assigned the mask,
New masks and you
all
assign.
the new ones to our individual members so that they all have an individualized mask. And since that time, we had 2 new people come on board. And then I just recently found out that they were sharing masks. Like, that defeats the purpose. We do have the old masks that are still here for the old air packs. They're perfectly serviceable. They're just kind of beat up. This is kind of more of a want than a really a need. But if there was a little bit of funds left, I figured I'd bring it forward.
Thank you. How many did you order, Richard?
We ordered, our original order was 24 packs, 24 masks. And our roster is roughly around 24 people.
Yeah, you don't need one. So,
Is there a life cycle to them, Casey? Like
The
an
mask
expiration date, it's just the shield, in there, or is the whole piece, face piece?
There is no expiration to them. As long as they remain serviceable, as far as I know, they're still serviceable. They're not dated, with a date of manufacture and expiration.
So if they get damaged, basically, I don't know how easily they're damaged, but is it worth having an inventory? I mean, you got $1,800 and I hate to see it go away.
So would I. So I would like to have that inventory because the cost is only going to go up over time. So therefore, why don't we have the inventory?
And these are, I mean, do people order large, medium, small on there?
The vast majority of our membership is all mediums, with the exception of a few people who take a small. So we're all mediums and smalls. And I would focus on mediums because that's the majority of people.
Yeah. And, all right, I would suggest that you can't have the exact number, especially when you have different sizes. So it's a non-brainer. You need to order 4 more masks. And what was the number we had? 18 something. So,
Are they 318 or 350 or something?
385 a piece.
okay,
That'll be good.
Yeah.
I use 1700, but
And I wasn't expecting 1,800, but I was kind of making the ass thing, hey, you know, like 400.
yeah, that'll give you a 4.35 if you really want to.
I think there's even 2,800, if we just made those final corrections on there, but that was an rightful. And I'm comfortable with that. If there's money remaining, it's going to go back to the treasury.
And if you have any other project on tap, I don't think it's.
I think this is the last for ARPA, because it's got to be signed and sealed, done deal by the end of the month.
so can you get whatever, bill for masks, 1540 or whatever it is?
Yes,
Okay,
a prior project for them, they had returned an invoice within 48 hours.
okay.
So
If you
this
get
is
that
an
in,
easy thing.
So I guess I could make a motion that we expend the remaining ARPA money on masks, SCBA's, for the fire department. However, the dollars work out, that we utilize the balance for that purpose.
Utilize the balance. So
You're gonna be within a few dollars. If we have 1,800, you know, about give or take.
so we may have 300 left over or something.
no big deal.
Okay. So I would be cautious and just authorize you to order 1,600 for masks.
Well, I use 1,700, 390.
That's fine.
It comes out to 4, so. it ain't enough. You'll get at least 4.
Okay. Or let's say just remaining funds, maybe you're right, I'm sorry. Anyway, so let's, you made the motion for the fire department to buy 4 masks using remaining ARPA funds.
That's correct.
Okay, I will second it. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
I don't think we have any remaining funds. May,
Okay.
Is it a public meeting? Is it?
We're doing the
It's a
business.
public hearing, correct?
It's not a public hearing, so
Isn't that what it's public?
That came in one.
A warrant article, okay. But still, I got a question.
I'll call, I said I would call on you. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, this all came about in the summer of 2023, and the lobby radio was only here about a year. So, no, I'm just asking, just like DNR.
I just don't want any personal attacks.
No, it's not a personal
Okay,
attack.
thank
I'm
you.
just saying, she's the one that brought it up in 2023, the summer. It's in the minute. So I'm asking the same thing. It's only been a year. So I'm asking the same thing DNR. Why? This is a waste of money. So why? All of a sudden, she's been here, 2023 to 2024. That's when she brought it up. Why?
We're talking about masks right now.
Well, I'm talking about the ventilation system.
Oh, the ventilation system. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. It's been an issue for 12 years. In my mind. So, thank God she brought it up.
In a year's time. It's ridiculous, waste of money.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
What's the vote on that?
That was, 2-1.
one,
Thank you.
No.
Right.
So,
Casey, I'm not voting against the mask, I just don't believe, I'm not confident we have one.
And that's fair. And that's fair. Okay. But I think it's, what I was asking you, when you say it's a want, I think if you have the exact number of masks for the number of people and you don't intend to hire anybody in the next year, I think you need the masks.
You would tend to.
Yeah, I thought so. So this is a need.
We always intend.
So, all right. Are we are done with our, congratulations.
We done with it last week too.
Yeah, we were. So, new business, solid waste disposal contract. We had heard years ago how it's gonna be going up on us. We got a new one this year. And this is for, I'm sorry, I don't have the numbers written down. But, this is for the new contract and it is, we have the numbers.
It's basically an increase of 30,000.
Thank you. That's what I was looking for.
It's right there at the top, it's 5 tons. Mike calculated it out to be, about 30,000.
Right.
But we only have, I think, 7,000 budgeted for that one in the budget, in the proposed budget, because we're gonna be, we have proposed to take the other remaining 30 from the revolving.
But I think last week, Mike said to take them all of it, including that other $7,000 increase and move that all out into the wall.
Okay. So that's that.
That's because of the fee increase we voted on, that's the way I understand.
Right. And we've been warned about this years ago, and we've been getting a great deal in the past. And it's now catching up to us in terms of their costs. So, I would, I'm looking for a dollar amount. But, we just have the, I should have written
Yeah,
that
it's
down.
by the ton, so
It
we
is by the
basically
ton.
off of last year's tonnage, and that's how we got the 30,000, or 37 and change.
Yeah, I don't see it. Can you show me where it is on here? Sorry. Yep, go ahead.
I haven't seen it.
Fees and billing year 1 and then year 2.
Thank you. That's what I needed. All right. And you had marked it. Thank you. Basically, yeah, there's it's a 2-step increase. And fees and billing in year 1, which is this coming year, is 1/1/25 to December 31st. And it is a rate of 135 a ton, hauling rate 125 per haul. Combing will have a disposal fee of 125 per ton and recycling haul rate of 125 per ton. This contract also includes a second year with a step increase where the rates are 140 per ton, hauling rate 125. The commingles disposal will have 130 per ton, and hauling, if they have to do it, 125 per haul. So this is a slight increase on the second year, but it's good that we have a 2-year contract. As opposed to maybe getting smacked next year, we have something guaranteed. And it will be in this fall,
If it goes on a little more.
if it goes on.
Kind of a food for thought, dump thing, just, I know we basically dump the stuff now, it's totally over, but I drive by the Wilton place all the time, they service a number of towns, but they seem to have a pretty commercial operation over there, and I don't know how they do it.
I used to use it, it's impressive,
Well,
4 colors of
but I
glass.
think it's self-supported,
Mhm.
and I'm wondering if they would buy our stuff instead of us paying $120 a ton. Maybe we just give it to them, maybe it doesn't cost us a penny. I don't have the answers, I think about it, I'm like, the trash is one thing, but the, you know, glass and all that other stuff that we commingle, they might just take. I should have gave it to them.
I would doubt if they're self-supporting, but.
I don't know. It's worth asking
Okay.
for future thoughts.
Any thoughts on this?
No, I had the same question as last year around. It's the commingle. We use the term commingle different than other towns too. Commingle in other towns means paper, cardboard, glass,
Right,
cans, et cetera, et cetera. That's commingle.
Single
Single
stream,
stream.
yeah.
Commingle is, the only commingle is the cans and the bottles of
Plastic.
glass.
Yeah.
Okay.
all right. And, so, okay, so,
You can do a motion to allow Mike and myself to sign.
right, so I'll make a motion to, accept the proposal from, Madite Disposal Services, the contract for 2 years at the, stated rates. And we'll, authorize, Mike Cloutier and Lori Raddy to sign this agreement. Do I have a second?
Just coming out of that one.
No.
Okay, I'll second the motion.
So before we vote, it's like, so that's gonna leave the 92K in the proposed budget the same as last year. That's the intent. Right. Okay. I'm done.
Okay, thank you. So I have a second. You have a second? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Acceptance of donation for police department. Yeah, you got one, I got $100 today for firefighter association. I just put it in the bank.
Well, we, without the association, we are in receipt of 2 more checks totaling $625 in memory of Frank Battaglia. And again, just to reiterate, as part of his wishes, donations were to be made payable to the Orange Police Department directly. So I've had 2 more donations, and I'm just asking that we be able to accept them and put them into our donation fund.
Think, anyone want to address it or? Sure.
No, these are in the memory of Frank Battaglia. People donating money. As long as we use it for a worthy cause over at the fire department, I'm sure we can always come up with one.
Oh, this is police department.
I work for the police department. I'd ask if the funds stay.
Told me earlier to say the fire.
What was the total, Rachel?
$625.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that the money will be intended to go towards, again, the additional cost for the installation of the 5th MDT, so that we don't have to apply any of those expenditures towards the budget.
You have a second? All in favor? Aye.
Was for RSA 91.
Yes.
3195,
I'm sorry, 91 what?
3195.
3195B.
Okay. Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Investment review policy. Oh, I'm sorry.
Before we move on, who motioned, who seconded?
Bob motioned, I seconded. Thank you. Yep. So investment review policy, this is an annual thing. We basically, I don't know if someone wants to look through this. I think that we should probably push this down till next year. And then unless people want to pass it now, but this is our policy and I haven't read through it, so.
It's been the same since 2012, Carl.
Yep.
But we are required to, for you guys to look at it and review it and accept it annually. You don't.
And I think we need to do diligence. So I would like to table it for until the next meeting, then, okay.
Helene didn't make any recommendation to change this.
Not yet, but we did have a conversation earlier and there's been a little bit of chatter about making some changes to it and she was researching it. So
Okay.
I don't think she could be here tonight,
And we can still do the changes,
even if you accept it.
even if we accept it tonight, we can still do the changes.
Okay,
I think we might as well accept it. Over with.
all right.
Helene, wants to change it, she'll come to us. So
And,
I'll make a motion to accept the investment policy.
all right.
Second,
Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I will do due diligence next week. So, have you emailed me one? Okay.
Maybe last year.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
may I look at it?
Oh, absolutely.
sure.
So Gail was asking, are these?
Oh, I'm sorry. Those are for you.
Are they raisins or chips?
No, amaretto chocolate chip.
You want one then?
Oh, there's peanut butter in there too. Perfect.
We found them in here.
Take two.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
Hope I didn't embarrass you too much.
No, I don't.
10 other kinds, 12 other, 13 other kinds.
I would have had that half hour.
Yeah.
I was. Preliminary results air quality test. Maybe we should have dealt with this sooner.
Already discussed that.
We did. So, but you, I would recommend everyone here read that document, the preliminary report anyway. And, we can make it available for anyone else who wants to see it.
What is the number?
Well, there are many numbers because it's air quality tests. They're testing many different things.
Keep talking about radon. That was tested on over like a 36-hour period.
It was done by professional people. They tested it on 2 different days. They tested all the outside. And of course, there's radon outside. And,
Yeah, it's 4 times higher than anywhere else in the country. But
Yep. So,
no, as I found out, being in real estate, that radon levels can change drastically during the day.
yes.
That's why I ask if they do it, because those are the only ones that are accurate.
Mhm. Okay.
I didn't see a figure, all I saw that it was, they claimed it was overflow.
That's
Which
pretty
is
typical.
But no figure was assigned to it.
Then here's the meat of it tonight, 2025 warrant articles and budget committee recommendations. So, let's get this off the table. I have new business transfer station fee schedule. We're not ready for that with Mike's recommendation, so I'm tabling that until he has some numbers for us.
Who was talking about?
Okay. Pardon?
The fees, the
We're-
disposed, the punch cards?
Yeah, the punch cards, the fees, mattress costs, things like that. Dresser, spare tire, computer. Warrant article, budget committee recommendations. So,
Budget committee did their recommendations
They-
last week.
yep, now we need to vote on them and, when we come up with a budget. Looking for that sheet, sorry. This was the one, changes to, we have this sheet here, which is the, recommendations, in total budget amount. Changes to POS meeting on the 9th. Then we have also the changes from the BAC on the 11th. And then we had, which we came up with about 21,000 over the target amount. Is that correct? You have the sheet? Okay. Does anyone else want the sheet or have it? Okay, good. Thank you. All right. First of all, is anyone good with all these changes as they are, or do they want more or less? I think we need to discuss it, maybe go down each one. I think we failed to do so last time. So, I had some issue with a couple of the recommendations personally. And I would like to maybe ask somebody on the committee or anyone else on the board, why it's being done. And I guess I'll go first if anyone else wants to. I had a little problem with eliminating the position for planning. And in terms of having someone trained with Susan to understand and learn the job that she does, she has a wealth of knowledge, and if she leaves us, that goes with her. And we have no replacement. She has indicated that she's pretty much at the limit of what she can do. And I know I shouldn't be talking about people, but this is the reality of small town. And I can't see how we can comfortably go forward and see that position at risk. Right now, it's in the budget as, this is planning secretary, and this is not the current position, but an additional position to there. The hours were pulled back from before. We have full-time or nearly full-time planning secretary. And I think we need this person in there because that position needs a secretary. So first I'll give it to the board and then I'll call on anyone else.
Carl, I'm in agreement. There's 3 places where I think we need to have the staff. And so I don't disagree with you. We haven't had a lot of planning in that department for a long time, and I think even if it's gone, Al would be stuck. Because I'm not sure Al knows everything that she does to any degree, and we kind of got to have some overlap, maybe an extra set of hands. I don't disagree. I think it needs to be. It's a requirement. We have staff here to meet the needs.
Yep. And I don't know, anyone on the planning committee want to address that? Who dealt with it? Are you the one who talked to, I know the department heads who talked to was, talked to about this. Okay.
So my position as a taxpayer and chairman of the board, that office was staffed with 1 person, 1 day a week when our secretary was out sick for, I don't know, like 9 months. And we had applications coming in. We haven't had a serious application come in this year. We advertised for the position that is open for 4 years and never got anybody to even apply. Our present planning director needs to learn as much as he can from our planning secretary, and if something happens, if she's out sick, he needs to cover that position. You have to double task in this town. We haven't had any applications come in a year, so the office is getting caught up. And, we have actually done, the planning board is the one that's in charge of planning, and we actually have done some. A lot more needs to be done next year. But I think that this year, with the budget hike, the money's been in the budget for the last 3 years and it hasn't been spent.
Okay. You're making 2 separate arguments there, though. One argument
I think
is,
it's overfunding for the office.
I thought it was my turn to speak. You're making 2 separate arguments. One is that it's not needed. The other is we don't have any applicants. Those are 2 separate arguments. And we've been applying, and if we stop, we've defund it, we can't get any applicants. I think there's a need there because it's not and where it is going to fall is where else we have a defunded office. they will not be able to get any support there. I mean, we've reduced the executive secretary hours, recommendations here, and um, uh, we don't have any people to fill in and help out. That's my point of view. But thank you. So, yeah.
I'm gonna disagree with Roberta. If anyone comes in and actually talks to the planning secretary and Al in that office, you will be told that they're drowning. So even with having Al here, you know, they are two separate jobs. And Al will never have probably the knowledge that Susan has for that position, but, you know, he has other, tasks that he has to do as well, but you will be told they're still drowning.
And what are his hours? Do you know offhand? I think it's 3.5 days,
3.5.
which is how many hours?
Well,
So 28,
24.
24, okay. 24, thank you. Okay. Great.
And we are saving a lot of money by having him here part-time, and he's doing a great job. But they are still, if you go in and talk to anybody in there, they're drowning.
Okay. No, I talked to him earlier and he was concerned, so.
Carl, we need staff. We can't operate this town with part-time anymore. And I was here today and 4 people walked in the door for 4 different things. One of them to the planning law. And I was here, so it's a routine, and whether it's 10 hours a week and there's part-time here and part-time there, there's people here to answer the citizens' questions and direct them, and I just see it as a need. Cut our administrative staff to that here, and, I think we need the 10 hours a week. It's not that much money really in a $5 million budget. $11,000 or $12,000 isn't much.
So where do we cut the $11,000? We're gonna cut out of there. Where else will we cut it?
Well, Bob, I handed you a piece of paper at the beginning of the meeting that started with last year's budget.
See that?
And I added the necessary needs that really we don't control, and so it goes from the top line down to assessing. And so you can see what my priorities are, that we fully fund the assessing position that was originally requested. And that has actually changed a little bit from my understanding. I think the planning was the 15 grand. We added 10 to the legal, which we all agreed on. And then I have the shift differential, and I think Rachel may have moved a little bit on that. And for lack of any other word, I put in the full funding for the ambulance request. And I was 92,000 over the BAC budget. And so we've already, if you go down to look at reductions, we've already removed the 30,000. I suggested that we remove the 84 from cemeteries, 5,000 from parks, because we didn't spend a penny of it this year. And then we've already given up 10 on the call wages. So really, we need to come up with about 38,000 to match the number. And actually, that may even be a little less because of the ads up top have changed slightly. The police shift differential is probably the only question on Rachel's behalf. And I think she's agreed to, at least what I've heard, is that she would agree to bring that into mid-year, which cut that down to 7. So it's less than an ad. That brings the shortage down to about 30,000. Mike's given up 10 in materials. I think he gave up about 16 total in his budget. And Rick also gave up stuff. The call wages he gave up, I think Rick gave up 16 on top of the call wages. And so we're really almost par with these simple calculations here. And it changes nothing in last year's budget. other than those few things. I think, the code enforcement is a key thing. It was originally proposed with a $12,000 increase. So I think we've got to put it in. I mean, we've got potential legal problems. We need to be doing enforcement, and we haven't done it in a long time. And I think there's a lot going on around town, and people are very aware that we don't pay attention. If I was to weigh some of this stuff, code enforcement and assessing are key elements of the town, making sure we do what we say we're gonna do and what we're supposed to be doing. And frankly, you know, we had no budget for cemeteries last year, and we've added labor that we don't have. And we've done the same thing in parks. We had budget in there and we didn't spend a penny of it. And I think those two offsets really work, and we can easily come up with this pretty quickly, I think, without a lot of, without changing anything in the existing budget. Just those few items that the department heads have already given up. I'm pretty stuck on having the code enforcement, assessment, and planning in that thing, the police shift and the rental. Like I said, I think Rachel's agreed to fund it mid-year. And that takes that 38,000 at the bottom line there down to 31. So I think we can easily do it with the other changes that have gone in place that are not on here that the department heads have already given up. Without really changing the whole lot. So I think they're key elements, those three items are key to me.
I think it's great that we come up with a number we shoot for, but I'm not, and Budget Advisory Committee has done some good work and proposed, 5, 6.5. That is about a 5% increase over last year. But of that 5% increase, 3% is, or 2.5% is 2 unfilled officers that had been before the 53rd week that is in there anyway. So we really don't have a 5% increase. We have a 2.5% increase. And if we're consistent with our pay plan and what we, in terms of keeping a solid and stable workforce and a happy workforce, we need to, I'm not suggesting theoretically it should be maybe a 7.5% increase, but I know that's not realistic, and we've made a lot of cuts there that have hurt. We've gored a few individuals here in terms of some of the cuts. They're not happy with, but they're willing to go along with it because, if we're going to stick with our pay plan, that they are solid people. And I commend them on those sacrifices. But I don't see how we have a magic number. It's good to shoot for. I don't think it's reasonable by making some of these cuts that we're doing. And I would agree with the code enforcement. I'm sad to see 3,000 recommended out of there. We've got somebody, basically doing the job and seems to be getting things done finally after several years of not much done. I'm curious about the assessing, why you feel that, and maybe someone else could address it too. What did you want on assessing?
Assessing is where the town gets to the finances.
But why does it need an increase?
Well, I think we have a revaluation coming. There's going to be a lot of, ins and outs and whatever it happens to be. I've never been involved with one directly, but I think we need to have a in there. And,
well, don't we have one now?
We do.
we do, and so maybe that 5,000 that I've got on that sheet can go away. I can't answer that question. So that brings down the 38,000 to 25, which is already achieved. Given changes, it's very simple.
Yeah.
I mean,
We've done the bottom of the page, it said reductions. You want to further cut $30,000 from the fire department transition?
We already took it out, Bob.
No, we didn't.
Yes, we did.
Still on the sheet
The
there.
the fire department,
$10,000.
the fire department's been taken out.
What's 10, oh, yeah, no,
We took out 20.
we,
We took out 30. according to the- what I got.
Much did we take out, Lauren?
The 10,000 has already been taken out by Rick.
We took out 20 from the transition and 10 more from call wages.
right. No, on the sheet, it showed over 30 for the, transition, but that was including benefits, 30% retirement and taxes and insurance. So we did take 20 out, but it was came from other parts.
Yeah.
Okay,
So you're back to the 30, like Rick said the other day. After we discussed that.
right, yep.
So I got on a 12-9 change sheet, fire succession minus 30,000.
Yeah, fire succession it was 20,000 taken out of salary and 30% added on, yes, and then you also
That's the number
include,
right there, it's only
That was
one
the
line.
total, that was the total savings.
That's the-
Not what was cut.
So does it stick here? in my
no, if
calculation?
you cut 20,000, you're cutting over 30,000 because they're not getting the retirement benefits
Okay,
or the medical.
so my 36.
Right.
Okay.
So,
So if we take out the 5 that Laura just proposed, let's see. let me go-
I'm sorry, what fine?
Let me go down my list here. The plus, it's
Oh,
5,000
yeah,
in assessing. So if you take that out, you drop the pluses and that 38,000 short, now it comes down to 37, 32. 5 and 8 is 33, 830. And we know, I think Rachel already agreed to fund the PD shift differential for half a year, which brings it down to 7. So you take 33 down to, what is 7 from 33? Break it.
26.
26, thank you. 830. 26, 830. And, well, I gotta find the note here, bear with me. Mike gave up 10,000 in material and 5,500 in signs. So now you got, you're down to 10 minus 10 in material, which I think is reasonable. And you got 500 from signs. And then we also said, the library said they would give them a $2,000 donation towards the generator refunds. So there's another 2,000 minus 2,000. So now you gotta deduct 10, 5, 12,005 and 26. Gives you 14,000. Simple. Done. You got the BAC's recommendation. All of last year's budget's intact. We gotta figure out where 14,000 comes, and I think that's pretty easy number to come up with.
That was in addition to 13,000 you cut out of Mike's budget.
That's correct.
Not been agreed on yet.
So if you want to add it back in, Bob, I mean, we don't have the labor in there now. It's basically adding labor to a budget that's labor fat already, so, it's your call. You can add another 12,000, 13,000 to that 14, you're back to 27.
I'm sorry, what, you had?
Well, Bob's saying add the cemetery and the parks back.
Well, it's not, it's basically using the highway department to mow lawns in the cemetery. And we have a cheaper alternative. But anyway,
$20 an hour versus $24 an hour is not really that much for a part-time job. You, couple $1,000 bucks. You know, but we use that same expensive labor elsewhere in town. Picking up trash, building the thing, it's fire department. And so we just spent what we're talking about here. 2 or 3 guys up there picking up trash for 2 hours at 24, 25 bucks an hour, whatever it is. So I'm trying to make it simple.
So, this you're adding. Do you keep in last year's budget?
Yes, sir.
So assessing will be back to $12,000. I mean, no,
Oh, I added 5, that's what the proposal was to increase.
not assessing. Code enforcement. That's gonna be back to $12,000.
No, I'm bringing it up, I'm at code enforcement 12,000, so I did 24 with the originally requested.
Oh, no, I think,
It says that it was in the 2024
I
budget.
thought it was.
I'm starting with last year's budget, and those are all the ads to last year's budget.
I had other numbers in my head, so I want to see, make sure we're.
You have to go back to B1.
$85,000, wait a minute, $85,000 was, that was, $85,000 was not added to the ambulance request.
It's still an unknown, Bob, but when I did this calculation on the 11th, after our meeting, I added the full amount. Because I didn't know what the number was.
But you added that on top of $46,000 that was in last year's.
Right, that meets the request they had, 125.
So you're gonna meet the request that they had.
I, on the 11th, the date on this document, it was a giant unknown. So I put that request in. If we reduce that, it reduces the bottom again. I had no idea what it would be.
$85,000.
That's the difference between what we have in the existing budget, this year's budget, and what they requested. I didn't know what that number was.
That's the difference. What I'm saying is what we put into the 2025 budget was $85,000.
I'm not using the 25 budget. I'm starting up with the basis of this year's current budget. These are all adds to this year's budget. And that includes the 85.
You just made a decision that you're gonna go up to 125.
No, I didn't make a decision. I'm proposing this to you guys. I'm just saying, when I made this spreadsheet, this analysis, I had no idea what the ambulance would be.
I think we're totally going backwards. Totally going.
Well, we can go from the bottom up, top down. I just made the additions.
Maybe we need to.
One of the spreadsheet with $21,000, the total request from the BAC.
Right.
21,278. And then I come in here, we're trying to get a budget done, and I keep on hearing, oh, add more, add more, add more, add more, add more.
But
We're done. I'm done. This budget, as it stands tonight, is $5,646,278, which is more than I'm willing to vote for, okay? You guys can add all you want. You can fund it $7 million, okay? Bring it forward. Bring it forward. Keep adding. I'm done. I've already made my cuts. I've recommended the cuts. I've gotten a lot of cuts, and now you're putting it all back in again. I'm done. You guys figure out what budget you want to bring to the public so they can vote it down, and you're gonna wind up with $5,490,937, Lori, is that equal? That's what we'll wind up with. I think we keep adding stuff in here tonight. I think we ought to consider how we're gonna work this town with the default budget. We might as well start now.
Well, Bob, that's your opinion.
Yep.
I can come up with the PAC's number very quickly. Without changing anything in the existing budget. Only a couple things. In fact, only those few things that the department heads have given up and the cemetery and parks. And they're already in this year's budget anyway, because we had spent that.
So let's, Bob is asking for, if you're proposing, raising something, what are you gonna cut? You suggested a few things that you want to raise and a few things that you want to cut. So can we work from there?
I'm trying to meet the EAC's recommendation.
Exactly.
So
And-
I'm only doing the required
And
ads.
all Bob is
And a
asking,
few
if you're
points.
going to propose something going up, what are you gonna cut?
I'm not proposing anything, so.
I'm,
All the cuts that we took out to reach this other figure. Tom wants to put a lot more in.
Well, I would disagree with you because the way this was approached, you started with 5,829,000 and all you did is peck down till you got to this number, which is still $21,000 over the proposal. And the ambulance is still a question. And so I approached it from a completely opposite direction. I started with our existing budget and added half a dozen required additions. And then I added 3 positions, basically the assessing, which has already been removed, planning and the legal and the shift differential changed and code enforcement. And so I'm coming at it from the bottom up, and they're coming at it from the top down. So we can figure it out if you want. I asked Lori to prepare a budget starting with last year's number, and she didn't think she could do that based on the computer software.
The way the budget sits right now, the cuts will be already approved by this board was 5,646,278. So that's what I'm seeing on this sheet.
That's what I said.
well, we had made changes on the 9th, and then the BAC has made additional changes last week that we went through with them.
If we stick with that figure, 5,646,278, the way we've operated for the past 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, we still have 3% put in for wage adjustments. Is that correct? There's wiggle room right there. We still have wage adjustments for department heads, or was that removed?
No.
So we still have about $24,000 in department heads wage adjustments. There's $24,000 there that I thought was cut out. Apparently, I was the only one that thought that. So that one line item takes care of the whole difference of the $21,000. Guess what's too much target.
So where do you want to go, Carl? I think we're sort of in a little bit of an impasse. We've got to kind of peck through this. Do you want me to sit down with Laurie and try to come up with a budget based on this spreadsheet, or do you want to just throw darts over here? It's pretty simple.
Well, what we have from the BAC is a solid document. We don't have to start the process over. And I appreciate your work on that, but it's not going to get settled in another 30 minutes.
I agree with you 100%. I think code enforcement isn't fully funded as requested, and planning isn't fully funded as requested. And I would go probably with the shift differential because I think retention is probably our biggest nemesis here. I think I'm going to kind of stay my ground. The ambulance is still a giant question.
It is a question.
And I think, as was discussed on the 11th, I think we need to have an official document so we know exactly what the number's going to be, coming, going, and moving forward. And until we have that, it could be anything, and it could be voted down. I know I see warrant articles in here, 3 different directions. And so I think we gotta just say this is what we're gonna do. And I did go to the meeting, I know Lori did, and I think Jackie, based on what I heard, probably has some similar concerns as us. I think we pay them quarterly, if I'm not mistaken, so if we fully fund it and they fail, and we don't have an agreement, we bill them. It's pretty simple. If we chicken feed them and be stingy, may not end up with an ambulance service in 9 months.
Yep.
So I think from this, representing the citizens of the town, I think we gotta be pretty serious about us having an ambulance service.
Yep.
And that's my.
And I think the cost will fall on us whether we have them or we're asking Peterborough to come on over here for $1,000 a pop. Actually, the numbers that we were given by the ambulance service were actually too low in terms of our calls, because our calls generally are about 60% of our calls. And they're more like about 500 or 450 number of calls. The 350 that they gave us as a number may be what they were actually able to respond to, which is a real indictment of what they've been doing over the past half year or so.
What are they asking for now?
Oh, no, it's just saying.
Between the two towns, they
Right.
want $250,000.
Right. And one of the things that came out from Monday's meeting is that if we put a warrant article for that, if they were able to perform, that we can go with them. It's a service that we have that is a relative bargain to what other towns are paying. It always has been a bargain, but sometimes when you go cheap, the result was that they were not paying their people. They're not keeping people, and they're trying to reorganize.
Okay, said all that.
Yeah,
What they need is $250,000.
they probably,
The
yes,
service they provide to us is 35% of the service, and 65% of the service to Jeff.
they have been, they have not been, I don't know if they, in terms of
Those are
Jaffrey,
the figures they gave us.
those are the figures they gave us, and they're not reflective of the number of calls we had. You have the.
Are you
all
saying
have
they
the-
revised those numbers because they went back and reviewed the change? policy?
No, I'm saying that that is, I talked to Rick about this, where that number came from. He agreed with me. We have 450, Casey, you can testify, 450, 500 medical calls a year. And so,
On the stat sheet, you got a stat sheet.
yeah, we have the stat sheets, and we're at, I think, 440 right now. So, for November. So, we're hitting on maybe close to 500.
What are you getting to us? Figures that they gave us for last year.
Yep.
It's 35% of the service to Range.
Correct.
65% of the service to Jeff.
Correct.
That was what the ambulance service came up with.
Yes,
Would only be fair if we're getting 35% of it, because we pay 35% of the total. Although we've jumped out and offered 85. All right, and we're looking at putting 40,000 aside in case they can do what they think they might be able to do. They think, which is not a guarantee, all right? So they think they can do it. It's not a guarantee, but if we do manage to get 40,000 put aside, then we'll get that money. As far as I'm concerned, $85,000 is 35% of the 250 that they need to offer.
so are you willing to offer them 85 for continuing your service this year?
Yeah, we already did. We have.
Okay,
Jaffrey stepped right behind us and said, yeah, that's what we'll give too.
They did.
I did talk with Carl and to get an update on this, and an update, and I spoke with Rick to get an update on that meeting. And what was not mentioned at the meeting, anytime during the meeting, was was that Jaffrey is getting 65% of the service. That was not mentioned at that meeting. I wish I had been able to make the meeting, it would have been mentioned. Jaffrey knows this for a fact. They know that. I told you, John Fredericks had on his little napkin the breakdown in costs, where they would pay 65%, we would pay 35%. Kept it on the napkin and it hit it. So I asked to see it again.
What that Rick had proposed is that we would give me 85, and assuming the board approves it, and a warrant article for the balance if they are performing.
If they can perform 24/7.
But it's a warrant article, it has to be passed by the voters.
That's scary.
Thank you.
They'll get 85. They're getting 85 from town.
So, Bob, to follow up with your thing, so if we're offering 85 in our proposed budget, what's the difference between us budgeting the 125 and paying them quarterly, and then we'll know by June or whatever, 6 months in, whether they're gonna meet the deal, the money just sits in the budget, put it on a warrant. It can get voted down and go nowhere. And we might end up losing the service. So
So
what
we'll
do you,
email with them too. They need to know what they're gonna get. All towns have decided what they're gonna donate. This is contributory. Jaffrey's contract is a contract without a figure in it. Jaffrey's contract is a contract without an end date on it. That's not even a contract, all right? So they don't have a contract. They have an agreement to pay them something. And they don't even have a dollar figure.
I haven't seen the agreement, I haven't even got a copy yet.
Yeah, you just have to ask Chamberlain or Fredericks, and they'll let you know. They'll tell you.
But it
They did ask.
is an agreement to provide the service. We do not even
The
have.
agreement to provide the service was 24/7, which is not being provided. Period. So the agreement's not being fulfilled even by the ambulance service. It's an agreement, and it's not being fulfilled.
And let us know if the ambulance shows up.
I mean, Rick is willing to sit down, come up with an agreement with them. What we need for an agreement is that there has to be a proportional amount between the towns, the two towns, as to how much we contribute. And remember, this is a contribution. This is not a contract, this is a contribution. It's the same way it is with Jaffrey, because they're proposing to give an 85. So if they have a contract and they're giving 85, contract didn't get it up to 125, so the contract didn't work.
Lori May, is the 85 in our numbers that we're working with? Okay, good. All right. Just want to make sure.
I'd love to see them get the service up to 24/7, 2 persons per ambulance, not one. And have the ambulance show up around the clock, even after they had come up to speak to us. It was weekdays that they didn't even have service.
I
In the
talked,
middle of the week, they let us know that they could not provide service.
Do you want to move on to the warrant articles, or are we gonna keep hashing the budget around?
No,
We know what the number is, so we're gonna have to figure out how to work with it. Bob basically said that you and I should work out the numbers. If it's above that number, he's gonna vote it down, but not recommend it. Okay. That's the way I heard it, maybe I'm wrong call.
well, he was willing to work out what we had gotten up to this point, and, which is progress. I think, we're close to an agreement.
Well, close to 21, within 21,000.
Like I say, I am not happy with eliminating planning because we are putting ourselves at risk. And I'm I'm sad to see, the code enforcement reduced. But I'm not willing to cut anything below what we've gotten up to this point. So, if we have some cut, I mean, we could put some money in. We have a surplus this year, needs to be returned to the voters. It helps our tax rate, when it's in there. But if a few thousand were spent now, that could reduce the budget for next year. We could, have money available for other things. I'd be willing to go look at that. One thing I looked at is if we, purchased computers, we could probably have an order for next year, computers we would need to buy. We could take it out of this year's budget, or next year's budget, and then we can reduce the budget by that amount. Of course, that's going into the surplus that, it's a tax rate. And it's a small portion of it. But it's a thought. It would give us, 4 computers, would give us,
Can I ask Lori a question?
yeah, please.
Lori, what did you say, 1% of an increase in the wages? Wage adjustment of 1% is how much? We did this last.
Instead of the 3%, instead of doing the
No,
3%.
what is 1%?
Okay.
Well, what is 3%? What was the rate? I just divided by 3.
Around 30%, isn't it? 28.
I think the spreadsheet and copy it over and change that percentage. I don't know exactly.
Okay, I'll get it this week or last week.
And is there something that was,
Well,
she's working?
yeah, to talk about one of the cuts that is proposed in here for there, just to express my thoughts on it as a department head and how it would affect my department. Is that okay?
Go ahead.
So I wanted to talk about the $13,025 that was proposed. Cuts there to the program coordinator fund, which is the general fund assistance for the program recreation program coordinator position. And how it would impact the rec department. Even though it's only $13,000, that represents a total of 10% of my whole budget, which is would be a huge gash to my budget and our operating costs there. And to, I'm sure everyone knows this, but like, there's no other town that I'm aware of in New Hampshire, Massachusetts, New England that does not fund their coordinator position, program coordinator position out of the general fund, let alone even a portion of it. So taking that one portion of it away is just, it's going to be really difficult to make up that $13,000 in a state where the last couple of years, my revolving fund has not been growing enough to compensate that $13,000 to make that offset. In a perfect world, yes, we'd be able to probably fund it and keep growing and making more money, but some of the effects that would have on it was that we would have to increase fees to make up that $13,000 to the users of our programs, which are, a lot of them have, you know, in this town, have multiple kids in their families, and so that cost is being passed directly on to the families that utilize our service, which most of it is already, because we're already covering all the benefits, retirement, the majority of the salary. And the salary is only in the mid-30s, which is still the lowest program coordinator salary in any town I know in New Hampshire around us. And so then, you know, the cost, you know, what's gonna happen is we're gonna have to increase the fees, and then we're also gonna have to look at things that we do that we don't make revenue on. So for example, something that just happened recently is we had a senior dinner, and I just cut a $5,000 check out of the revolving fund to cover the fees for that. And I don't wanna have to cut programs like that or things that I really enjoyed during the down that we're able to do, but if we're being hamstringed by getting that removed from our budget, then we won't be able to do a lot of the things that we do. And the things that we do keep, we're going to have to increase costs, which may force other people out of it because of the cost of them participating in the program will be too high. And, you know, not to, you know, toot our own horn, but I think for the size of budget we have here in Ringe, the recreation department, and what we're able to do with it is quite exceptional compared to other towns around us. I don't know anybody that has a smaller budget that has a full-time department anywhere that does what we do. And so I think it's going to be a really, you know, enormous disservice to a lot of citizens here in town that if we make that cut. So that's, I just wanted to make that very clear that this is the thing that.
So the hasn't been cut, it's been refunded. So it's coming out of revolving rather than the general account. So the programs are still being funded. And I think the assumption of the BAC was that the revolving fund could cover it. That's not true. I'm assuming that's the assumption. And so what has been the growth of the revolving fund? And would that put you in a negative slide, or would it, you know, could you still maintain it and you're just not growing?
Based off the numbers that Laurie gave us at that last meeting, Conservation Commission, we would be sliding backwards at this stage.
So the step, how much was it?
It's in the 70s, but it's
No,
low.
no, how much was the
The cut,
the cut?
$13,025.
13,000 would put you declining unless you raised fees.
Yes, yeah, 100%.
What did you grow last year?
I don't know the exact number of that, but I think I've lost probably close to it or break even, maybe even. So I know the 13 step that going to put us in the negative. Everything's gotten so much more expensive, and I'm trying not to pass the direct cost on to the people that utilize the program as much. So it's like there's a very tight rope that I have to walk on to try to balance, you know, what I am. And that's why when you guys ask me to do these budgets, I had everything down to like, I think my only increase was $700. You know, so I try to do this as best I can. And
Appreciate
have this.
Do you have a number like?
Budget was 2% increase.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, there's a potential for, although you might decline in the revolving account, there's a potential with raising the fees that you actually have less participation in the program.
Oh, for sure. And our fees are.
Yeah, so that like
too.
doubles the problem.
Well, yeah, and our fees are kind of on the other, a higher end because we don't currently completely fund the program coordinator, or even my position as the director by the general fund. So we have to then compensate that by having higher fees and towns around, which people ask me about all the time.
Lori May, do you have a number of did you find it?
Which number?
And his number about what he grew last year,
So
revolving fund.
if I look at the cash account from last year, and then 2023. So far this year, he's got about $23,500 more in cash than he did year-end last year.
Thank you.
So
And when did you raise fees, yeah? When did you raise fees?
Well, I've raised fees every year, but I would have to drastically raise fees if I'm going to cover that amount lost. And then we just had about, this is a week here, I got the senior dinner bill for $5,000 and my software bill for $5,000. So that's gonna be $10,000 that was gonna be leaving that account this week.
so the growth was $23,000, 10,000 now growth. This past year was $13,000,
Which is what they were
which is yeah,
saying. So it's remaining flex.
it's a wash.
So we're going to get something to add to this.
Yeah, well, when the sports coordinator position was made full-time, the revolving fund had over $100,000 in it, which then COVID happened, so it did drop. But that position had always been just part-time. And they did a calculation out when the position was made full-time, that it could fund that position with the $30,000 a year for 3 years with what was in, without wiping it out. So having the program coordinator funded out of the fees makes sense. So, I thought, and we talked about it years ago, was that having the revolving fund completely fund that position was the goal. And that was what, 8 years ago, I think.
Thank you. Lauren, and you were working on, I'm sorry, I want to check, you were working on another question before, and I'm sorry to interrupt you. Thank you, Dan. That's good.
Yeah, and this also not assuming any raises for that position, which is already severely underpaid.
Well, I think since last week, there was some changes, town office got taken out, a few other things. So reducing it down to 2%. The difference would be $21,278.
How much?
That's $21,278.
$500 is 1%. So 2% wage adjustment.
2%.
We'll do it.
2.5 was social security, that was their number. Not true. But,
But then we have step raises kicking in too.
Yeah, you're still 4.5%, you go take a percent off.
And take that 1% off of the placeholder that the VAC put in at 3%, which was just a placeholder. Everybody was aware of that, I believe, from the very beginning.
very clear on that too.
All right, so the placeholder was 3%, we're cutting down the placeholder to 2%, would be the budget.
True, but we still have these issues.
But we have a budget.
But we do have a budget. With that,
I think a budget that we may be able to sell them. It gets passed.
I think we could sell it with keeping that person in the planning office.
We're not getting rid of Susan.
No, but
You make it sound like we're getting rid of an employee. We're not getting rid of an employee.
no, I meant
You're
the
getting
other
rid of a
position.
ghost because the person has never been there in like 4 years. It's a ghost you get rid of.
But
The rid of, is there been anybody else in that planning office working besides the secretary that we have? Maybe I've missed it. I don't know. But there's nobody else there. There's one person doing the job. We leave her alone. She does a great job at it. If we leave her alone. She does a great job. Now Al is there also, and more hours, which should be able to alleviate that, a little bit, not exacerbate it.
Excuse me, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I was looking at the wrong app, I was looking at this app. It's $18,190. It's the difference between the last iteration, taking out that 1%, it's 18,000.
Close enough.
We still have people. The wage adjustment is based upon the evaluation person, is that correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Anybody who hasn't had a wage evaluation doesn't get the wage adjustment.
That's
I got $3,000.
Well, we're going backwards on this. You're going in your direction, which is great. We're going into the basics. The department has made a sacrifice, which is okay. And hopefully their employees were, yes, if they can have an average of 2% in terms of wage adjustment, that would work. But I still think we need to look at keeping that officer. And it's a little bit over your target, but it's,
I think we need to keep going.
we
going too.
need the ability
We've got so
to
much.
make that higher. We need it. Rachel, do you have something?
I would like to volunteer that if you need $3,000, if you would like to take $1,500 from my fuel line item and $1,500 from my mileage line item, that will be your $3,000 to get you to that number. And that's me giving optimistic, offer for, hopefully we'll have a good year and not need that, but we marketed our fuel budget on current market value back when the budgets were proposed. We haven't spent as much in the past 2 months, so if the prices stay where they're at, I think that would be a reasonable risk that we could take. And also, if we remain at full staff, the mileage, I think it would be safe to decrease that.
So what you said it was an $18,000 cut?
Yeah.
$3,000 is $21,000. We could agree to that. Talking different, $200. I'll make a motion that we pass this budget at $5,625,000. We have to cut, we have to live what we do. It's easier to move on to the warrant. That motion can't be carried forward. I'd like to go on to the warrant. Just like. Oh, 2 hours. So
Yep.
you want to blow another hour and let us leave?
No. Let's go through the warrants, and then we'll come back to this at the end.
Probably go page by page for the total order.
That's fine. Yep.
That was the first article.
All right. Yep. Add two.
So,
Right. Article 1, health care.
I'll assume all of these on here are correct, all of these vacancies are correct.
And the
The
years
ones
are
that are
correct.
crossed out, no. I haven't gotten the full time.
The tax collector is not in here.
The ones that are
She
crossed
got
out
four.
are last year, so this is, I haven't gotten.
Okay, so you
That's
don't
why
have
they're
this.
stricken out.
So is the tax collector up this year?
I
You know,
haven't gotten that. She will get that to me soon. She's got a post up in working with me soon. So as soon as she gets me, they can, I will get them.
Town clerk typically a 3-year term
right,
also.
so. We have, 7 zoning articles to be announced. Or 6, and then we have the operating budget. We will come back to this one.
All right, we also have the default budget, figure seems to be wrong.
What do we have? Oh,
The budget, I have not done anything with that last year.
So that should be stricken out the default budget.
I can point out, based on the number that the BAC recommended, that it's 272,266 over last year's budget. And I'm probably within a few pennies, but I'm gonna say it's about $1.90. It's on the new valuation. Laura, you and I were talking about that. I don't know whether you calculated them or not. I did some quick math here, and based on, the formula, the rule of thumb, it's about $1.19 on that number. 272,266, which is the increase based on the DAC's recommendation. So it could probably move. It's $1 plus, how's that? There's a lot of little pieces into it, but that's a good thought, so.
I've been working on the revenues too, because I need to do them for.
Right.
And I noticed so far this year, we're almost up 200,000.
So it might change a little bit.
So it'll help.
So
offset.
call it $1, how's that?
Yeah.
We don't know exactly. Roll. The expenditure of bond, we're gonna just go over that one, Carl. Are we gonna put that-
I'm sorry, I was looking at the default is the
Oh.
54, 5, 438, 762, correct?
What, the default?
Yeah, the default budget.
490,937.
Oh, it's 9, so this, I'm not sure what document I'm looking at. This is old.
So should
So-
12.
It should, yeah, okay. And this is not, this is 1212. So what is the default budget?
5,490,937.
Okay,
Halfway down.
all right, and, yeah, okay, I've got that. So, where is that one here? I don't see it, default budget.
Like I said,
Oh, it's a part of the first article. I'm sorry. All right,
That's last year's
that's
default.
last
Yep.
year. And we haven't decided
Right.
on.
okay.
But we have got a default budget.
But we have a default number. So that was,
5,490,000.
I thought it was 9. 5 million, oh yeah, 490,
937.
937, thank you. Okay.
99.
Yeah, thank you, all right, sorry. We have, our next article, expenditure unused bond proceeds. We have that. And, that would be for the, no amount of money needs to be raised for taxation. So can we vote on that?
We've already,
I like to make it a vote that we get clear. Okay,
we gotta get the wording correct first.
absolutely. So expenditure of unused bond proceeds, see if township vote to authorize expenditure of an unused portion of the consolidated communications bond, approved, et cetera. And to raise and appropriate the sum of $60,375 in unused bond proceeds for the design and installation of HVAC ventilation system
All right.
for the
We
town.
already paid for the design.
Pardon?
We've already paid for the design.
Right. So we'll take that out.
I hope. So it's just. Installation, you just take out the
Yep.
three words, the design and.
Yep, okay, got it. For the design, and we'll take that out, installation of the HVAC ventilation system for town hall. That means to raise taxation recommended by the board, to a vote, all in favor, aye, okay, opposed,
Got a little bit of spend it, just goes back to something else.
so,
We should put it in fund, hearing that we can't put it in fund.
right,
I'll abstain on that.
okay, so 5201, ambulatory services, raise and appropriate sum of, and, the number we want in there is 85,000.
No, we don't.
So this,
We're
this,
budgeting for that.
We're budgeting, yes.
so if you read it, this is just a backup. So if we go default, if our budget doesn't pass, we put this in there, and it will cover the increase in cost if this article passes.
Okay,
And it will also be included in the default.
That's if Article 8 fails, and Article 8 is not.
If it passes, it'll be null for you.
Mr. Chairman,
yes,
as a point of English, is it really ambulatory service? Or should it be ambulance service?
That's what I.
it should be ambulance,
Walking.
exactly, it should be an ambulance service.
For the record, I'm not an Englishman.
And we don't have to spell it backwards, so you can see it right here. Thank you. It's not an English teacher.
Had our two grants.
You know, have you checked this? Because I'm going, if this fails, you can't spend any money on it. No means no.
Correct.
You can't spend any money on it. If that fails.
And you can't spend it out of the default either. So it's 46,000 is what you'd be at.
Yeah, no means no. It says if it passes, it's null and void. But if this fails, it says you can't spend any money. You really need to check. Because that would mean that zero would be the amount spent.
At this point in time, I'd like to pass over that and check into it. I kind of agree on that one. No means no, that you vote not to
Spend
raise
any money.
$85,000 for an ambulance service. If it's voted down, you can't spend it.
Maybe if it says additional,
That's what I'm wondering, additional
Additional.
$40,000.
In your budget.
What?
no. If you do a warrant article
Well,
that says,
Well, what if the budget goes down and this goes down?
Then we don't have any funding for ambulatory service.
Right, and that's why it should be, and-
46,000.
right,
Yeah.
yeah, but if the town votes not to raise and appropriate any money for, JARMA, that means zero can be spent on it, even if it's in the budget.
well, then maybe we need it as if the budget fails, we need to spend 46, which is what we spent this year. Yeah,
Well, but I asked about additional. Additional,
Raising an additional sum of 30,000.
yeah, you're that much longer.
38,500,
Yeah.
right, which is the amount, it's the difference.
Well, it says that the article for the operating budget passes, that this article is going forward.
Correct.
So it wipes this article, that the budget passes, but like you said, if it doesn't pass it,
If that doesn't pass, even if the budget passes.
It would be additional on the default, correct? So that's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think we're on scary grounds on that.
I think we are too. I think we're on scary ground, the whole.
I got a big
Hell,
question
yeah.
on this bond.
On the 6525, we're on shaky ground right there.
Yep, we have sorry, I'm on the wrong page, I'm getting too far ahead. Waste, solid waste contract,
So we did the same thing with that one.
yeah. If the,
Go default. that
if
was
we're
$703.
default. Let me read it through. Okay. Do we wanna,
Why do you need that anyway? Because it's coming out of the revolving.
Well, to go default.
If you go default, it's coming out of revolving. So you don't need that. The 30,000 increase is coming out of revolving. There's no increase to fund.
if we go default, we may need that revolving for other things?
That's the whole point.
Yep,
Which one are we even talking about?
this established, sorry, the, solid waste contract at the bottom of the page goes to the top.
Go from the front page to the back.
I'm sorry, there's solid waste. And then we go to see if the township will maintain. No, you have a different copy. I'm sorry, maybe you have an old edition.
Yeah.
Yep, sorry,
No, I got
here,
version 2. So
Okay.
this must be version 3.
yeah, we're 4. So, here we go. I'm teasing you.
I'm not amused.
No.
I'm working on what has been sent to me as version 2.
Okay.
You have version 4.
Version 3.
Not amused.
Okay.
By the way, why should I even read them?
So are we gonna get rid of this one? It's because it's just basically the cover for default. So I
Solid
don't
waste.
understand
Which you're gonna have to pay anyway. Or it's accumulating in someone's backyard.
it. So we're gonna move this forward?
I will move it forward and then, I will
You haven't had any feedback?
make a motion to accept
Send me
the
different, I wanna know what-
article
what we're
first.
putting on there.
Okay.
solid waste contract, warrant article to be numbered later.
That's the same problem. But there is no increase in the budget.
No.
The default is the same as the proposed.
With a $30,000 increase.
It's not in the budget though.
It's not the default either.
It's not in the proposed or the default. So you're funding something that doesn't exist.
We're funding over last year's contract. This is $30,000 over last year's contract. Default would be last year's contract.
That's what the proposed is. There's no increase in the solid waste line.
If we had this, if the solid waste was a warrant article to begin with, we wouldn't have to worry about this, because it could be included in the default. But nobody ever wants to put that on there. It was done in the past, history, like 1997, the whole ambulance service, that was all done through the warrant article.
And solid waste, the state, we talked about this, the state mandates.
I'd like to move forward on this
That's why it
for
goes in the default.
suggesting a warrant article. I made a motion to accept the solid waste contract as a warrant article for additional $30,000 funding if the budget fails. All in favor? Aye.
So, Lori, okay,
Hey,
legal.
yes, no, this should be put on hold.
Okay, well, put it on hold then. Sorry. All right, I just presented
It's
it.
all in the same language as the one before.
Right,
Tom just did.
okay.
So we're rescinding that motion
We're
or?
just gonna.
No, we're putting on hold.
Ambulatory service, we're gonna put on hold again. Is this a difficult?
This is to establish expendable trust fund. under the provisions of RSA 3119A for the purpose of additional ambulatory service charges not to included in the operating budget, and to raise the appropriate sum of $40,000 to be added to the fund for the name of Selectman as agent to expend said fund. This is in the, gives us the option of actually paying them $125,000 if that's needed for them to continue. So basically, the offer was that we would pay them 85 in quarterly or whatever payments, and that we would reevaluate them in 6 months if they're not providing full service and they're not ramping up, that we do not have to, and we can use these monies for other providers.
Sounds like the agreement we have.
I'm gonna go with Roberta, who says no means no, we're going, and they may not survive. I don't know.
Well, if this gets voted down,
I
then
would think
they,
it would pass.
They don't want it.
Right,
well,
that's kind of, I think we can go both ways with
if
that.
it's voted down, I'll let it get its 85.
Did you make a motion, Al?
I'll make a motion
Make
to
a motion.
Yep.
Call for a vote.
pass this on established ambulatory service, ET.
Ambulance?
Yes, well, it's the funding of ambulance.
Yes, ambulance service expendable trust fund. Maybe
Yes.
that instead of ambulatory.
Okay, oh, ambulance, yes, I'm sorry.
Twice in there.
Yeah.
Ambulatory, once in the title.
Okay.
Yep.
So thank you, and all in favor?
Thank you, Craig.
Aye,
Aye.
3-0. Fire department equipment, CRF. See if the township vote raise and purpose sum of $145,000 together with the fire department equipment capital reserve fund previously established. By the recommended, et cetera. This is basically largely to buy a brush truck, but it is giving us the option of our ability to purchase a truck this year and not wait another year for it. By asking for $145,000. And all in favor? Aye.
Well, you haven't had a motion first.
Oh, I'll make a motion to pass this.
Okay, I'll second the motion.
Thank you.
This in addition, to what we have remaining in the fund will take care of the brush truck. Is that correct?
Yes, it would.
Thank you. That was my question. I'll second the motion.
I'm inclined that we, given all the expenditures we've had, I've added all these up, we're at about $2 and change. Based, Laura's got to do some calculations, I think.
Per thousand.
Correct. So I think, we should stick to our 100,000. I'd hate to see us put 145 in there and then an outgoing chief spend the money and have a zero balance in that account. And I think it'd be wiser to put 100 in because we need to save for trucks or equipment or stuff and hold off and maybe have a new chief make the determination a year from now. And we'll still have the money because we'll be adding money again next year. And I think it would be a wiser decision to bring that down to 100,000.
Okay.
That's my take. I think it would be smarter. I mean, we're looking at about almost 19 cents on the thousand for that one article, and I think it would be wiser to bring down. I agree we need to save money, but I think we should pare back a little bit in some of these big
Okay.
pieces.
So, but we have a motion, we have a second. I'm going to put this to the vote. I'd like to just move through this. All in favor? Aye.
Okay.
Okay, 2-1. Thank you. Revaluation. The see if township vote to raise an appropriate sum of $25,000 to be added to the revaluation capital reserve fund previously established for the revaluation completed in 2025. This is basically to pay for the reval that is happening next year.
Just keep them there.
I make a motion to, move this forward. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion with
Thank
a
you.
question.
Yep.
We all set, this is gonna cover the funds that we need. Thank you.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, 3-0. Highway Department, capital reserve, capital reserve fund. This is CFR. To see if the town should vote to raise an appropriate sum of $150,000 to the Highway Department Equipment Fund previously established. And this is basically a plow truck that is, right now costing quite a bit. It's been breaking down constantly and, it was moved up from 2 years from now to be done this year, and that's why it's, basically looking for 150,000 versus 100,000. This allows us to unload this lemon and, move on. I will make a motion to, enter this warrant article. Yes, go ahead.
I can't remember which funds that you were named agents to expend. I know the fire was last year. I don't think you are on this one.
I think so. I think fire was the one we couldn't do.
No, fire was the one that was
I
changed.
think this was added last year.
I'm not sure.
I thought it was.
I'll double check this.
Yeah, please check that out. But anyway,
Yeah,
And then we
we
can
need
adjust it.
selectmen agents to expend it. Yeah, it's,
We did them all last year.
I thought it was fire last year.
it wasn't just fire. I know it was more than fire. So anyway,
If we need to add that.
We can
The
add-
agents to expend, we can add that in.
Yep.
Get to the gist.
Well, I tried
Thank you.
their deliberative and it got wiped out, so that's why I can't remember.
I may have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
We have discussion.
Oh, please.
There-
Yep.
Point of order there.
You're right, you're right. Thank you.
Again, I think we should lower this down to 150. I know Mike wants to buy a truck.
You mean lower it down to 100?
And I think we should lower it to 100, just like I said, the fire department, I think. We're looking at 500 and something, I think we should be saving for equipment, but we're gonna be in the same boat we were in this year, with a zero balance when he buys a new truck. And that's not savings at all, because he's gonna have another truck, 2 years behind it, when you're just buying trucks. I did some homework today, and the truck is actually a 2016. Was delivered on January 1st of 16. And since we have owned that truck, we've only spent $37,000 on repairs. That's all. And that includes 15,000 in apartments. So if
Just out of curiosity, how many of those repairs are in the last 2 years?
we spent 9,600 so far this year. Last year we spent 92. So if I amortize that out, we, on a $250,000 truck, which Mike said, we could spend an awful lot of money for $9,000 a year. Even if it was $20,000 a year, you could go out 5 years probably and still be ahead of the game. And I think it would be wise to push this out at least a couple of years so that he has a balance when he buys a truck. Same thing with the fire department, like I said, I think he will have zero balance if they buy a truck this year. So I think I can't justify it based on the numbers I've seen. He didn't have a balance to repair it in 22. He spent a lot of ARPA money on it. And basically, we spent $37,000 since the warranty ran out. That's really on me. Like, that's pretty insignificant. Over 5 years, it's about $6,000 or $7,000 annually. You average it.
So it's an 8-year-old truck.
It'll be 9 in January.
Right.
So I'm not discounting the fact that he may have had some problems with it. Some of the repairs that were done to it a year ago, I believe, were its front springs and a windshield and other
Okay.
stuff. But I don't disagree, it may be a problem child, but we're still way ahead of the game by holding on to the money for a couple more years. So that's my take. I can't recommend that.
Okay. Anyway, let's,
You have a motion in a second.
yep, so all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Okay. One. Building maintenance,
Mr.
capital
Chairman,
reserve fund. Yep,
I think this is an error, and Tom reminded me. We voted not to do building maintenance, we voted to do a fund for a new
Correct.
building.
yes,
So as written, this is incorrect.
it's,
Remember, Lori, at the last meeting, we talked about it. I said, this is wrong when I'm looking at. But actually, it zeroed out.
oh, I'm sorry, the title is there, but let me read the
I'm
motion.
sorry, Mr.
Okay. The town vote change purpose of the existing building maintenance capital reserve fund to the municipal buildings capital reserve fund. And to allow the fund to be used for new construction, additions, and significant renovations.
Didn't read far enough.
It's okay.
But maybe I should change the title to change purpose of building maintenance.
Right. Expanded, if you wish. New purpose and fund.
Change the title to
Building, municipal buildings capital reserve fund.
The titles are on the warrant.
They are.
We need to move
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, I just did the synopsis.
I never noticed them.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
It's okay. Raise and appropriate sum of $100,000 to be added to the fund. I know there's money in the fund, but I'm not sure how much. Anyway, do I have,
This is a new one.
yes,
but there's still money in that fund. In that one, which is-
right. So, anyway, I'm going to, make a motion to, have this warrant article entered, Article 15, it's listed here, but, so. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank
You
you.
need to see the same stuff.
Any discussion?
$100,000 in. Front step.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, 13 cents.
it's about the end of my discussion. Yeah, that equated to, this equates to what you wanted to cut out of 2 other departments. Approximately.
Yeah.
That's correct.
So I'll cut it out of this one. Take the vote.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Okay. Police equipment. What you grab these things? 16 is here, police equipment, capital reserve fund, see if the town shall vote to raise an appropriate sum of $50,000 to be added to police equipment capital reserve fund previously established. Recommended by the select board, perhaps, we'll see. Anyway, I'll make a motion to set aside 50,000 police equipment capital reserve fund.
Which we put away last year.
I think 5,000, 10, thank you.
I'll second the motion.
Well, I just assumed.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to see it cut to 25, not to cut it out. But it was 10 last year, we're going up 50% of last year. But you've got a motion and a second, I guess.
Okay. Anyway, I make a motion, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain.
Okay. 2-0-1. Thank you.
It's not a no vote.
Yeah. Don't make me, please.
I just thought the video was not, that's all.
Okay, Inglesmore Library, ETF, see if township vote and raise appropriate sum of $20,000 to be added to the Inglesmore Expendable Trust Fund previously established. And this is, this has, this is for the furnace and windows and stuff like that. Anyway, I will, put that on the floor, make a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you.
This is the same figure we had last year, I believe.
I,
I think it got cut last year to 15.
yeah. Okay. So, all in favor? Aye.
I vote on this.
Thank you.
It's only 5,000.
Recreation facilities, Safety Township vote to raise an appropriate sum of $50,000 to be added to the recreation facilities capital reserve fund previously established. Prior years, this was 25,000. And I think it's 50, so they can actually have enough money for the tennis court.
It won't get us even close.
Oh, we'll even get as close. Okay, got it. All right. Oh, they only have about 50, I think, in there.
And the price of the tennis court keeps going up every year.
It's made with asphalt.
Asphalt costs should be coming down.
Any discussion on this before you, well, I'll make a motion.
Yeah, the discussion was, I think it should be 25.
I kind of think it should be 25. Tom, do you have
I'll make a
anything?
motion to amend this to 25,000.
Thank you. I will second that.
Let's get a vote
I can go along with that, Carl. I think there was a plan originally a couple of years ago to start funding this at 25, and I think the costs have escalated, but if we leave it at 50, there's a pretty good possibility that we're gonna have extra revenue that we apply to some of these to bring it, basically apply whatever the dollar amount
You
is.
mean grants and stuff?
No, I think we're gonna end up coming in under budget. Based on my recent calculation, we should have extra money like we did last year. And I think if we leave it at 50, when we get to deliberative, like Roberta said, we can spend some of this money that we have left over on, kind of bring the costs down, but still move the project forward in an expedient way without a lot of extra taxation. I think we need to save for it, but I think cut it down to 25 and we have extra money, we can still fund it, but it's gonna slow the thing down to, 5 years from now instead of 3. So that's just food for thought on it.
I respect that thought. I'm just concerned about the huge numbers that you're concerned with also. And I think this is one that could be cut over, in my mind, in vehicles. So anyway, all in favor? Aye.
This is the motion.
The motion to reduce it to 25.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We gotta save the money.
So now do we need to vote for the motion or
Place it on the
Yep.
warrant. Make a
Place-
motion to
place it on the
place the
warrant?
recreation facilities article on the warrant.
At 25,000,
We're gonna have to take a motion to place all of these on the warrant. Why don't we do that
we can't.
one motion? Yeah.
All right, I wanted to have the votes on each
Yeah.
article. So, okay. So,
Meeting house.
meeting house. So, I'm sorry, did we finish that vote?
No.
Thank you.
How many?
I'm in
Three.
favor. Thank you, Rio. All right. Meeting house maintenance, 25,000, appropriate sum of the other meeting house maintenance fund, trust fund established. I'll make that motion. Do I have a second?
One question, what did we put in last year, about 25,000?
No, I think it was less.
We expended a lot of money out of it this year to do have the windows redone in the building.
Yep.
Like to see that replenished if the voters so desire.
Yep. Good. I'll make a motion to enter this article as a warrant
Second.
article. Second, thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Acceptance of Amelia Way. Is it Amalia or
It's
Amelia?
Amalia.
It's Amalia. My apologies.
It's all
Okay.
good.
Thought you might know.
It's my sister, so.
See if the town shall vote to accept the dedicate for public use a road known as Amalia Way, Class 5 town roadway pursuant to RSA 67440-A as shown in subdivision plan 47087-7 dated September 7, 2007, and approved by the planning board. I'll make a motion to accept. Do I have a second?
Also,
Do we have discussion?
yeah, I'm not thrilled with accepting any roads in the town this year. I actually recommended to person that's interested in this to put a petition warrant article, and I thought it would be better that way, rather than have opposition to it.
I was concerned about it too, but they did do the inspection. And that was my concern. Answer to your question. Yeah, you have anything?
Yeah, if I may kind of share a little bit about that.
Thank you.
Briefly, I'll try not to go too long with that. I'm the chairman of the Cale Stenderson 15 Amalia Way. I'm the chairman of the East USA Homeowners Association on Amalia Way. So we petitioned to the Selectman to put on the warrant article in May. Through that, we learned that it needs to go to a warrant article and not be accepted at the Selectman's meeting per a 2020 vote. So we went before the roadway committee meeting in June. Roadway committee approved unanimously 4-0 to recommend to the select board to accept the Amalia Way pending the final inspection from the bond company. That has taken place. The bills have been paid to the bond company. Mike, the DPW director, has met with my father, the developer, gone through and done the full inspection of that. Mike said the Amalia Way stands out as one of the better built roads in that meeting in June. I pulled up and pulled through the 18 houses that are on that, on the road there. The assessed value of those 18 houses is 6.6 million at a tax rate of 25.31 per thousand. That's bringing 168,000. Of that, $4.09 is to the town, so $27,000 a year right now is going towards the town. And the town is not providing the services of maintaining that road. Our current police, fire, everybody is already responding to those houses as of now. So that 27,000 that's going to the town that these houses are paying towards, and there'll be an additional house in, I presume, the near future. As of now, that 27,000 isn't being used. It's just being taken from these houses that are paying for the full services of the town. As of now, the HOA is paying to maintain the road, in regards to plowing, sanding, winterizing. We're paying about $2,000 a year to do that. So even of that 27,000, even if we don't sand and salt every storm, so even if it's 5,000 to the town, we still got 22,000 to work with. That is currently going to the town, but that the town is not using those services. So my recommendation is it's kind of a duty, if you will, for the town to maintain the roads. My dad, the developer, was required to build it to town specs. It's been built exactly to town specs. It's been approved. It's got a full top coat. It's realistically in as good of a condition as it ever will be. And I think now is the time for kind of the town to fulfill the second half of that responsibility of you require us to build it to town specs. We built it to town specs. It's essentially fully built out. And I'm requesting that the select board recommend to the taxpayers. They're the ones that essentially need to vote on it, but I'd like to see it put on by the select board and approved by the select board or recommended in a unanimous vote.
Unanimous?
That's my recommendation, yes. I know Bob suggested something otherwise, but like I said, I have a date here that
I have a couple of questions, and so you do not plan on going forward with a petition warrant?
I want to see it recommended. I think it's the town's responsibility to maintain their roads. It's been the developer, my dad was required to build it to town specs.
In my mind, that's kind of works toward the presumption that if you're gonna force us to go to town specs, once it's developed and built out, we got, like I said, $27,000 coming towards the town every year right now, and the town isn't using that, or is basically, not to say are robbing from us, but it's just that money's coming in, but it's not going to service our road. That's 100% the town portion. That's not school or local or state or anything. That's $27,000 a year that those 18 houses are paying towards the town.
Or the other question was, the last time this was brought forward by your dad, Second Road, it had not been totally built out yet. That was the reason for denial at that point in time. Is the development totally built out at this point?
There's one additional lot that's in there that my dad he's saving it for his future house. So it's just like any other road. There's lots in town off of roads that.
This isn't long.
What's that? No, he's trying to sell his place on Rand Road intermittently, market and so on and so forth. Top coat has been done. Rob Faulkner from CHA Consulting, the engineer, met with Mike, made recommendations. All those recommendations have been taken care of. So line of sight, clearing out of.
What about the roadway committee, when they met?
Yep.
Mike Cludier was in attendance at that meeting.
Correct. Mike Cloutier, Rick Donovan, Craig Clark, and Al Bump were all there, and those were the 4 votes.
That was unanimous vote.
That was unanimous, so. My dad was there, but obviously he recused himself. He's also on the road committee.
Was the final evaluation ensured it was up to specs? That was the final part.
Correct. It was subject to that, and that has since taken place. Mike has met with, and his recommendation is to, like you said, it's a better built road in town according to his assessment.
Roberta, did you have something there?
So, how many golf carts are on that road?
I believe one.
Oh, is that, can't drive it anymore.
That's, yeah, I think we have a small town, and I don't think the police
Yeah,
probably harass on any.
Yeah, that's one of the things
Safety
fun
issue,
that,
they can handle that.
yeah, Butternut likes keeping it private so they can ride
That's-
down with their golf carts.
Yep, and that's certainly up to their prerogative,
Yeah.
but we're looking at how the town take it over.
Our road has the illegal golf carts. Thank you. Well done.
Well, they can be street legal.
Did we take an official vote on that yet?
We did not.
We have not.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Which is a motion.
Bob, is there any further
Motion,
questions you
second.
have that I can gain your support?
Go on it.
What's that? I didn't hear what you said.
I'm sorry, you blew it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
10th police officer. See if the town shall vote to hire a 10th officer to be employed no sooner than April 1st, 2025, and to raise and appropriate $124,817 for this full-time position. Now, this is, the amount is
That amount,
3/4 of a year.
no, that amount is incorrect. That's for a full year.
That's what we thought. Well, at least I hoped it was. And it's probably wise to hold it like that because you're not going to spend much if you hire April 1st.
Correct, no, that we're not asking.
But this gives you the ability to, well, no, you've stated April 1st.
Correct, $93,591.
So I have one question on that, and basically this year we are sitting with a 1/4 police officer to half police officer on the budgets that's been, affecting us adversely in our budgeting this year because we have to pay that 200,000 before we pay for, anything else, the increase. That'll cause an increase of, not that much, actually, it's only 1/4. So, but it will affect the following year's budget. But that's the way we've been doing it anyway.
So what are you suggesting, that gets fully funded for a year?
No, I don't want to do that either.
That's that dumb question.
Unless, well, that gives you the option of hiring someone tomorrow or 2 weeks from now.
Well, it wouldn't be voted on,
No, it wouldn't be voted
so I
on. Couldn't do it until April 1st. Right. Anyway, it's getting too late. Anyway, does anyone want to put this motion forward?
No, I've got the wrong figure in there. right?
Okay,
We have the wrong figure in there.
591,
nine.
What was it again?
93,591, and those are numbers that Lori made was kind enough with the starting wage with a full family health insurance plan at 40 weeks.
I'll
And
make a motion
retirement and
to
everything else in there. Sorry, and retirement in there also,
That's with full benefits.
full benefits. Sorry, Tom,
I'll make a motion, we put it forward. This was indeed 2 years ago, petition warrant article, go through with good faith, and I think let the voters decide if they want a police department. It's pretty straightforward in my mind.
I
It's a lot of
know,
money, it's 16 cents. It's less expensive, but it's about the same cost as one of those trucks we just voted on. So it's actually less at 93, it's about equal. In fact, it's less than the full price at 124. Let the voters decide.
I'm not sure that now is the time to add $10 and tell you it should. Be quite frank. Been told that way. So
The voters will decide, that's kind of how I'm looking at
they'll
it.
decide it when we're.
I'm leery about the congestion we have on the warrant articles. And I'm for a 10th officer. I'm leery about putting it on this year. But it is up to the voters, so.
Second, or
I'm procrastinating, I'm good at it, okay?
let the voters decide.
I'll give you a second. Discussion,
I think we have.
okay? All in favor?